are you feeling?
I'm really feeling good. So like James Brown say, I'm feeling good. But he said, I feel good, because I do. It's a blessing. I'm a cancer survivor for 12 years, so I've been through a lot. It's been peaks and valleys, every day you don't feel 100%, but I made it through.
Yes, you heard that right. Mr. T is a cancer survivor. He's the ultimate tough guy. Never one to shy away from confrontation, T wants everyone to know about his cancer. He considers it his responsibility. Were you public about your cancer right away?
See, if I can deal with this, if I tell other people, if I can deal with my cancer in public, you should be able to deal with your cancer in private, because you're not on the 6 o'clock news, you're not on the Smut magazine, they're not following you around. So if I can deal with all that, so when they hear about me fighting cancer, hear about me not quitting, they can say, wow, I'm not gonna quit. T went through all that stuff, they talked about him, they heard me make jokes, I'm on the radio and whatnot, but he's strong now, he's healthy now.
At first, he thought it was just a harmless blemish. He says it was vanity that prompted him to go to his doctor about it.
It was noticeable, wasn't that noticeable other people, but I'm thinking, I said, wow, if I'm signing an autograph and bending down, people are going to see that little bump, and they might, it wasn't a little bump, like a little sore. Then at first the doctor, he said, I would like to take a biopsy. I said, okay, cool. Then about a week later, I came back and went to his office, and he said, well, it showed up that you had cancer, got a rare form of cancer. So I'm just sitting there, I said, wow, it was like a numbness,
Coincidentally, Mr. T was diagnosed with T-Cell Lymphoma.
See, the cancer I have is called T-Cell Lymphoma, CD3. One thing you have T-Cell lymphoma, then you got the CD3 part, like some secret agent scientific stuff,
Another name for T-Cell lymphoma, CD3, is mycosis fungoides. It's an exceedingly rare form of cancer that affects a little more than 1,000 people in the United States.
Mycosis fungoides is a T-cell malignancy of the skin. That means that there's a collection of T cells, which are the cells you actually use for your immune system. But in that particular case, there's an abnormal number that's proliferating and growing slowly over time. It's called mycosis fungoides because it resembles a fungal infection, almost like a skin infection from a fungus, but it's not.
See, my cancer, it appears in the skin, but it's not skin cancer.
Dr. Michael Parra is an oncologist at Colorado Hematology and Oncology just outside of Denver. He currently treats several patients with lymphoma.
The treatment of cutaneous T-cell lymphomas is quite unique from the standpoint that many other kinds of lymphomas we have to treat systemically. In its early stages, all we have to do is actually treat it locally.
T's treatment went on for about a month, with radiation focused locally on the ears. This conservative approach is the customary action with this rare but slow-growing form of lymphoma.
So the treatments for cutaneous T-cell lymphomas are modified just to treat the areas in the skin, unless it becomes more aggressive. And usually most forms of T-cell lymphomas are actually at early stages at time of diagnosis. You don't need to treat it aggressively initially.
It was a month of radiation, and the doctor told me, he said, he said, the cancer might come back or it might not. You can't worry about that. You got to go on and live your life.
But the cancer did come back, and this time it had spread. Was there a low point for you in battling cancer?
Then the cancer came back. Then I went to the doctor. There was some stuff on my back and whatnot. Then I went to my doctor. Then he saw it. And then he said, I think it's time to go to chemotherapy. That's when it hit me, the whole thing of cancer. Because when you have cancer, chemotherapy, people's hair fall out and they get skinny. So I went home and I said, wow, chemotherapy. Then he hooked me up and did this stuff. Wow, you're talking about the nausea, the dizziness. Like I said, after the first, I don't get back to regular maybe about the 5th or 6th day. First 3 or 4 days, I'm throwing up. I'm dizzy. I couldn't sleep. I slept mostly in a chair on the couch like this. I was afraid to lay down, because if I lay down, I thought I might throw up in my sleep and drown or whatever, But
it's interesting, though, hearing the word fear and Mr. T in the same sentence, because so many people, I think, would think of you, Mr. T, as not being afraid of anything.
It's normal. There's nothing wrong with having a little fear. That's healthy. Don't go in there, I don't fear. That's a lie, because you're not being realistic. It's okay. But as long as that little fear, that fear is fleeting, it's doubting that it's moving along, as long as it don't linger, that's when you get in trouble,
Today, targeted therapies can attack the specific antigen causing the cancer.
The treatments evolve more regarding lymphomas such as Mr. T's from the standpoint that we're starting to use more targeted therapies. For example, monoclonal antibodies. A monoclonal antibody means that it's the development of only one kind of antibody specifically against only one certain type of protein on the outside of the white blood cell. We can actually have a targeted therapy, theoretically, only against one kind of abnormal cell.
Mr. T is on one of those therapies. It will be a lifelong battle, but if anyone's up to the challenge, it's Mr. T.
Life is an endurance test. It's not a 50-yard sprint, 100-yard dash. It's a marathon. So like I said, I got to endure the hardship. The Bible says endure hardship as a good soldier. They are enduring hardship. Then you fall back to your fighting stance. So, okay, wow, am I going to be a wimp and cry, whatnot? You know, am I going to fight it and whatnot and cry? It's okay to cry as long as you're fighting, but don't be crying, oh, woe me, what are they going to do? See, I wasn't worried about society, my position in the movies and stuff like that, because I'm not an actor, and I tell people all the time. I said, and I joke with it, I said, I'm just a 2-bit actor. You know, I said, and I told him, I said, the stuff I've done, like I said, it allowed me a platform.
T relies upon the same thing that got him through both his humble upbringings and his ascent to Hollywood fame: his strong faith.
Like David wrote, he said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Then the other part, he said, yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. And that's what keeps me strong. That's what I tell other cancer patients. We're going through a valley of shadow of death, but the key is we're going through there. Through is the key word. We're not going in a cave that don't have an outlet. See, we're going through. Through means there's an exit on the other side. So we're not going to stay there. And I joke with people. I said, nobody goes, say, hey, let's go shopping in the valley of shadow of death. Let's go to that new nightclub in the valley of shadow of death. It's just a passageway. I have to go through there to get to the other side. So when I get to the other side, that gives me the authority. That gives me, when I speak with authority, because wasn't shaking in my boots. I didn't quit. I didn't go to drugs and try to commit suicide because the pressure came. That's why I tell people the pressure gonna come. But if you're hanging there long enough, the pressure will dissipate. You're gonna be all right. But we got to go through there.
So I guess in terms of anybody who's diagnosed with cancer, what would you tell them to say to that cancer?
I say not just to the cancer, but to themselves. I pity the fool who don't fight back.